Well, good morning, my Facebook friends. Welcome to my studio this morning. We are in Mesa, Arizona, and it's a cloudy, rainy day in Arizona. We've been having great weather, though, nice rain showers. It is 54 degrees at my studio today. So I want to welcome everybody coming online. We're going to just spend a few minutes talking about sketching and how to find time to sketch and kind of how to encourage you to sketch. So if you are coming online, I would love it if you would drop me a note in the chat so I know who is here and who's showing up. So please do that. Let me see who's here. Just drop me a chat in the box because I love to see who I've got coming. Facebook Lives are always fun to do when you've got people joining in and hanging out with you. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Linda Glover Gooch. I am an artist, painter. I am the inventor of masterfulpainting.com, where I teach online courses. But right now on Thursdays, every other Thursday, I invite you into the studio and we go over some cool art tips and inspiring subjects, things to try to get you to the easel. That's the goal, is to get you to the easel or wherever that you do your art. So today's subject is how to find time to sketch. And it's linked to my blog where I have a lot more information over at the blog. And I will give you some links to that as well so that you can go over there and read more about this subject. You know, the reason why I really encourage people to sketch is because I want to help encourage you to do this. So if you are already doing sketching, put a comment, say, hey, I sketch regularly or I want to start sketching, and make sure you tell me who you are and where you're from in the chat box so I know that you're joining. This just kind of a little more encouraging and a little more fun for me to know that I got live people. This is my whole idea. I'm bringing people into my studio every other Thursday just to kind of spend time together. This is like a kind of low-keyed type of get together. But today I've got a little demo and I'm going to talk about some of the new supplies out on the market with the marker industry, what has happened to some of the markers that we used to use and now what we can have. So first off, I got a little picture here. Let me show you. This is last night's sunset in Arizona. Check that out. Is that beautiful? That was just obviously as the sun was setting, looking west outside my studio, gorgeous pinks moving there. And so that is Arizona last night. And we've been having incredible sunsets, great sunsets lately. So again, what I want to do is I'm going to talk about how to find time to sketch and why we sketch, what are the reasons behind it, and the importance of it. So in sketching, we want to think, why are we doing it? Well, maybe we're doing it just for practice. Maybe we're doing it for enjoyment. There can be a lot of reasons why we sketch. But the most important thing is probably to enjoy it. So welcome, Susan. Hi to you too. Thanks for jumping in the comments. I love it if you guys jump in the comments and drop me a line. That way I know that there are actual people out there in Facebook land joining me in my studio this morning. So like I said, that's Arizona sunset last night. So I'm going to talk about sketching. You know, in the summer, I do a summer sketch giveaway, and that's where for 3 months I do a demo and I give away drawing supplies. That's June, July, and August typically is when I do those. But I wanted to jump in and talk about sketching because I do have the blog out this week that is all about sketching, and it has so much material there for you to go. It's got a free 18-minute lesson. It's got a supply list. It's got all kinds of tips there. So that's for you to go at, and it's at lindaglovergooch.com/106. That's where you can go read my blog there and check that out. There it is right there. 106, lindaglovergooch.com/106. But I'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's get on with the demo. So what I'm sketching with, or my supplies, look like this. And I'm going to get out of the picture frame here so we can see this full. So obviously a sketchbook. Then I will use a pencil. When I'm using markers, I almost always will first draw in with a pencil. I have a kneaded eraser there. Looks a little dirty. I was using it a lot. Need to stretch it and clean it, but that's a kneaded eraser. And then I use a cheap brush of some kind from Home Depot to brush, like if I'm erasing, then I just can brush away the little eraser crumbs and not use my hand in the grease on your out of your skin, or oil, not grease, oil out of your skin gets on your page. And then I am using the Blick Studio markers. So what happened was our favorite markers, the Prismacolor markers, got discontinued. Now they still have them out there, but the grayscales are not really available anymore. And they do have a grayscale set, but they do not have the brush tip, which I was really disappointed that they took the brush tip out of that nice set. So I'm using the Blick Studio markers. There is a basic set of grays. You can see it there on the screen. And then I suggest in my lesson that I teach at the blog that if you want to pick up a black, that you can. I'll show you that a little bit here in the demo. But I'm using the Blick Studio markers on this demo today. So this is what I'm going to use as my reference, is this tree scene. It's from the high mountains in Colorado. I just wanted to try and, depict a nice tree scene because I thought maybe I wanted to paint it. So let me take you over and let's watch this demo. And I'm going to talk to you as I'm doing it. You can see that I drew it on first. And here I'm using a Prismacolor black. So if you have black, use whatever, brand you have, because I just bought that basic set in the Blick Studio. So that was a Prismacolor black, but you can use any black that you want. So I did my first front foreground bush, a very dark. And then here I'm jumping with the basic grade number 6 to start building my trees. Now, we don't want to do Christmas trees like, our Christmas trees. So pay attention to how you are creating that design, be loose with it. But you can see this number 6 almost looks black. So I think a person could use the whole set and not have to buy a black. I think that would be a very, possibility, probably a good thought. But I did been using these just a few times. So, and here I am just zipping through, and I don't sketch this fast. I speeded this up for the sake of not falling asleep on me while I'm doing this. But I'm just kind of suggesting some of the main trees, trying to get a feel for, what it is. Now I'm going over my dark black. It doesn't show up on screen, but I didn't know when I was doing it. It looked like a little bit different temperature than what I was using. So I thought maybe I could change the temperature by going over it. And here I'm using the number 3 basic gray. There are some different perspective in the trees. Some are back further, some are up closer. So I was trying to depict that with these markers. So I jumped to the number 3 to start filling in more pine trees on this scene. So, and just kind of rolling through. And, I don't follow my photos to a T. I've said that over and over again when I do demos, that I am not married to that photo. So I change things up as I so desire. Now here, I'm going a little darker. I jumped into the number 4 basic gray. So that's just a little bit darker than the 3, but not as dark as the 6, obviously. And just filling in a little bit more, just a few more trees, trying to get a little more depth with the values. Now, I always go conservative. This is the number 1 in the basic set. When I'm doing clouds, I always start conservative, meaning my lightest value, because I know I can always darken it later. So I'm using it there, and I'm also blocking in that back mountain with the number 1 and some of the foreground, just, to get some coverage there. I don't want to use too much white in the foreground. Now I'm still using the number 1, but I'm doing a second pass on it. So see if it's not quite dark enough, but you're like, ooh, is the next marker going to go too dark? You can just hit with the same marker over again. Now I'm jumping up to the number 2 because I want to try to knock down that hard line where the trees are hitting the ground. So I'm thinking, well, let me shadow that a little bit more, but that wasn't quite dark enough, I felt. So now I'm using the number 5 basic gray because I want to get rid of that straight line that was developed there. Sky, number 1. I'm not leaving the sky white because I want the clouds to be white. It's a little bit darker in value in that photo. So I am just covering the sky with that basic gray. And then I'm going to darken that mountain a little bit more. Just if you want to do a little detail on the clouds, you can. Then number 6, I'm going back in. I'm like, okay, I still feel like I want to feel more fullness in that tree area. So I'm coming back in with the number 6. Then I'm jumping down to the foreground with the number 3. And I realize this is fast because I've time-lapsed this. Now, the micron number 5 I use for small detail. And you can kind of see where I'm just maybe suggesting a few little leaves or tree branches, different things with that. There's some trunks off in the distance. And Susan, I'm trying to check back as we're going through that. So like I was telling you on this video right here, that black was a different brand. So I'm pointing that out, that it was a little bit darker, but in all, I don't really think it shows on the video all that much. In person, it does. So the accent darks, I'm using the number 6 just to accent a few more last minute accent darks. And you're right, Susan, that number 6 almost looks black. You commented it does look black. So I'm using the number 5 right now for last tree adjustments. I always go back in. Now look, I'm in the studio, so I have the time to do this. If I was out plein air and going to do a plein air piece, I wouldn't have that time. But right now I'm thinking, do I want to use this for a painting, which I did. And so just keep looking at it, and there we go. I figure, okay, I think I like that. Now I'm going to make a painting out of it. So this was one of the paintings that I did out of it. And you can see, I just worked the trees in, and I actually did this twice. Here's the other one. And I'm going to talk about those differences in the painting. You can see I made the cloud bigger and the mountain bigger. But on both of those paintings, I added some flowers because I really wanted to bring up the foreground. There's my sketch that I used first at the drawing board first. There's sometimes I've been at the drawing board and then I'm like, okay, I'm not so crazy over this scene after all. So that was the demo. Now let me jump back over here and talk to you guys for a minute. I'm going to add this scene back up here and I'll join you with it here. Let's see. Let me do it this way so that it's bigger. So yes, on the kneaded eraser, Susan, I don't know, I've been using kneaded erasers for years and I've never had any issues with it getting oily. I've never had any problems with it. I just know I don't want to wipe off my drawing with my hand because you can smear stuff. But a real cheap brush like that one from Home Depot works great. And that number 6 you said looks black, and it almost does. And yeah, the Prismacolors, did look a little bit darker. The Copic markers are great, and you can do the same thing with the Copic markers too. So, and probably any brand of grayscale. Unfortunately or fortunately, I did this I went on a marker bonanza, and I have I think I have Copics, I have some from Art and Fly, and I have some from Michaels. that are Artist Loft, and I have some from the Blick Studio. So I have almost every set. I should have stocks and markers because I own so many gray markers right now. But so this was my scene. I want to move on and keep teaching you, and I'm watching the questions if there's any more questions. So there was the scene, and there you saw in the slideshow the markers that I did the finished piece. There's the finished piece, because there's times when I do these markers on my own that I don't want to do a painting after all. And that's one beauty of doing these thumbnails with markers. But the other thing is you can try some different scenes. You can change trees around. You can try different compositions. So this was the first painting that I did from that. And you can see that I added some wildflowers. I wanted a little bit of color in the foreground. And I felt like, adding those wildflowers did bring some great color harmony. Always work to get that color harmony into your scene. So that brought some beautiful color harmony, which is, I use my air color a lot for that. When I teach a lot, I discuss an air color. So there was that one. And then the next one, thank you, Susan and Nancy, both for your nice comments. And then here was the second one that I did, which I enjoyed the change up. Now look what I did. I made the cloud more dominant and the mountain bigger, but yet this almost was close to a half and half composition, but I was able to pull that off by making the designs of the shadows and those dark uprights. So I threw more interest into the foreground now with some Indian paintbrush blooms, the reds, then the columbine blues, which created that nice color harmony. And obviously red is the complement of green, so we know how that's going to play out. And then the design in the trees, I really just worked some different design, and because these trees were pretty high up in the mountains, meaning they were getting close to tree line. So there was a lot of dead trunks and things falling. So in comparing those two, you can see, let me get out of that picture. You can see the difference in them. So how when I did the first one, it was a lot more foreground. It worked, right? But then when I did it the second time around, I made these changes and it was like a little bit more exciting. Now, this is a super good example of painting the same scene twice. Because I hear people say, should you paint the same thing over again? And I'm like, well, hello, why not? You're going to change it. And I don't know about anybody else, but I can't paint the same thing over exactly anyway. I don't want to. I want to make changes in it, but it might be the same scene, but I'll just do it a little bit different. And heavens, I've been going to the Grand Canyon for 15 years. If I can't paint that same point again, I'm in trouble, because there's only so many views that you can get from the rim without, going in places that you probably shouldn't be hiking, where the edges are, maybe not as safe. So here are two examples. And so that was my thoughts. I lightened up the greens. Now the greens in the left, the first one, were, a little bit more yellow than the one on the right with the big cloud and big mountain. I think they're showing that way. I'm not sure how this is transporting out to you if they're flipped the other way, but it was more spring greens. So that was, my whole idea, why I did the study first. And you're right, Susan, it always turns out different. So, that is just, well, I'm glad it turns out different. Oh, thanks, Susan. It looks as I'm describing it. Okay, that's good to know that when I'm describing things, it's coming off that way. So being with that, then I want to tell you at the blog, I have this sunset, an 18-minute lesson there for you to go do free if you go to the blog. Now, the blog is got sketching supplies. So to view the sketching supplies for all this right here, if you go to lindaglovergooch.com/106, I have a link there where you can download. Let me get rid of some of this stuff so you can see this picture, where you can download the reference, which is that sunset, a picture of my finished study, and a picture of two other drawings that I did of it. I did two other drawings of it. Let me show you something here. Let me come back to you. So I did two other drawings of it, and you can download all of this. I have all this stuff for you to download, because what I did was, in my making of this, I painted this scene too. I forgot to put the paintings up this time, but on the 18-minute lesson, you will do this drawing. So you can download all the images of my finished drawing. And then I have an image there that's got these percentages. The video shows the percentages. And then I also downloaded this thing, which shows Prismacolor markers and the Blick Studio markers. Hey, I've given away, for 3 years, I have given away these Prismacolor markers every summer sketch giveaway. So I know some of my students all have these, and some people have bought the Prismacolors. So this kind of shows you, if you got to switch over to the Blick Studio markers, it gives that scale. So you will find those at the 18-minute study. It's a free lesson on the blog. Then there you can see, this is what you'll get when you go and grab all the reference material. You'll get the pictures. I have a graded one for you. It's all free. What I want you to do is go sketch. It's what I want you to go do. And so that is at the blog. And then also, let me see if I've got any comments. That would be cool to do in pastel as well. It would. That scene would be great to do in pastel because of the beautiful blending you can do with that sunset going on. Then I also have on the blog this idea for, this is all about trying to help people find time to sketch. Put together a tote that you call your sketching tote. And I have all this information on the blog where you can keep all of your goods in one cool tote. You can have a reading light if you need it. You can go to the kitchen table. You can sit at the couch. You can do it just about anywhere. So I have that reference and good ideas on the blog for that. This is where you're going to set aside a time for this 18-minute lesson. You can get the downloaded images there. And yeah, that's to help you get to sketching. So you can see behind me, I have to turn the other way. I always do that for what I'm seeing in the screen. See behind me, all my thumbnails that I've done. I do thumbnails continually. And once you start creating this, it will be a fun journey for you. You'll enjoy it. Cool, Susan, you have a sketching bag. That's great. That's wonderful. And you got one for watercolors too. So good. You know, because some people, this is the whole thing. Some people think, I don't know what to do. I don't have a place to sketch. You know, I'm not sure how to do it. So that tote gives them all the information. And really what it's to do is to trigger some ideas, to inspire you to like, oh, I could do that. I could put together a tote and I could just sit like in the corner of the living room. I've got a good reading light or whatever. These are things just to make it easy for you. Not everybody has a specific place. I also at the blog show my drawing table because I do have a really nice drawing table, but I do have the space. So I show that drawing table. I do have all the listed out supplies. There are affiliate links there. If you want to go and buy anything and you want to use my affiliate links, great. Obviously, I make a commission, but just go get your stuff wherever you want to get it. But all of that is on the blog for the how to find time to sketch. So that blog is there for you to just go study. And I want you to use the 18-minute lesson. Susan, go get the 18-minute lesson and do it in pastels and then share it with me. Love to see that. I love pastels. I have a set of pastels in my closet. I don't use them anymore, But a lot of years ago, in my early 20s, I did pastel portraits. And I do love that medium like crazy. I just don't like having to frame it, which you know how that goes. That is just part of the process. But I love to see what you do with it. So that would be great. And anybody else, also let me know. There's a place to send me a note at the bottom of the blog. Let me know. And I want to see what you do with that 18-minute lesson. You can go back over Facebook again and watch today's demo. And it will stay up there on Facebook. I'll leave this on Facebook if anybody wants to go watch that. Of course, it's time lapsed, but I wanted just to be able to show something quickly here, just to keep people in the loop of what's going on, but not have to drag it out too long. So any other questions? If you got questions, let me see them. Susan, thank you for all your participation. And Nancy, I'm glad that you're on. Thank you for joining. And we just, this is Thursday in the studio with me. I plan to do this every other Thursday, different subjects. Of course, we're going to head into the cloud season. I'm going to tell you, the clouds have been amazing. Amazing. I'm going to take you back to that last night's sunset, what I started out here. Let me show you this. That was last night here in Arizona. I'm talking fire in the sky. It was beautiful. And before all of that, I'm going to tell you, we had the big cumulus clouds out yesterday. I'm painting clouds in the studio right now, prepping for some shows, but I kept having to run outside but it rained a little, then it would clear. And then we'd get these big clouds, sun would come out, beautiful white clouds, and then it'd start raining again. So it was just great. Nancy, I am in Mesa, Arizona. Where are you at, Nancy? Are you in Arizona? Yeah. So it is fun to watch those clouds, but they were keeping me a bit jumping back and forth. I was running back and forth. There's one I'm working on right now in the background. I'm going to finish it today. I got a few tweaks left to do to that, and then it will move and I'll get another one started. You're in Maryland, but you used to have a house in Arizona near Mesa and Gilbert. Yep, I know where Gilbert is. Yeah, that's not very far from me at all. Oh, wow, cool. So you've gone to Maryland, and you're probably having some cold weather right now, I would assume, because we're pretty cool. It's 56 right now. And so that's cool for us desert people, for some of us desert people. For me, it is anyway. All right. Well, if there's not any more questions, if you're watching the recording of this, I want to thank those that come on later and watch the recording and spend time going through the demo. And if you have questions, if you watch the recording later, then just drop some questions in the chat. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate you coming for sure. Love it that you showed up. Remember to visit the blog. Now that blog is lindaglovergooch.com/106, takes you to the How to Find Time to Sketch blog, full of all kinds of stuff on that blog this week. And that's where the 18-minute lesson is. That's where you can grab the download. You can get the photos. I'm giving you the photos, copies of my drawing. For some people, it's helpful if they see another drawing. And supplies, all of that, everything is listed on that blog. So yeah, the 106, lindaglovergooch.com 106, the How to Find Time to Sketch. Go do the 18-minute lesson, giving you homework. This is homework time. I'm giving you homework now. Love to see what you do. I'm expecting, Susan, I will see a sunset done with that that image out of pastels. It's going to be gorgeous. I have no doubt. So thank you guys for joining. Nancy says it's cold, but getting nice. Cool. Good, good, good. Yeah. The whole eastern states they need to get nice because they've been having cold weather. So they deserve a little reprieve on all that. Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. Again, like I said, now that I'm going to sign off, if you watch the uh, recording of this on Facebook, then please, if you got a question, please put it in the chat, and I will do my best to get back with people. What I do is try to encourage people. I want you to stay at the easel or stay at the drawing board. Keep your art journey going, but remember the rule is you got to have fun. All right, my friends. Thank you all for joining, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Come back into the studio with me and I'll stir up something good. All right. Ciao. Have a good day.